Welcome to episode number 43 of the Between Two Brands podcast. I am your host. I'm still your host, Bill Petrie. Glad you're here with me today as we continue our content journey together. Seriously, thanks for joining me today. I think we have a great show, but before we get started, as I always like to do, let's go ahead and pay the rent, shall we? Hey, this year, next year, right now, your clients are looking for more than just a product with their logo on it. They're looking for rock solid merchandise solutions that are more than just innovative, that they're going to be used for months and years to come. Now, let me introduce you, or in some cases, reintroduce you to the good folks over at Coaster Stone. Now, they are the original manufacturer of the absorbent stone coaster, and they have unmatched durability, quality, and gorgeous edge to edge decorating that allow your creative designs to come to life in full vibrant color. Now, since 1983, Coaster Stone has absolutely set the standard when it comes to delivering a retail-inspired experience to any client function. Hey, instead of boring and plain packaging, how about packaging options that are fully customizable? Now, Coaster Stone delivers value far beyond the product itself. Now, hey, did you know that they also manufacture their pinback buttons right here in the United States? Well, they do, and they are ideal, cost-effective, and fun pieces of branded merchandise around. Now, with that combination of stone cold quality, striking decoration, low cost per impression, and unmatched value, David Glenn and his team are ready to help you make a rock solid impression with your clients. Email them at promo@coasterstone.com today and get your next project started. All right, as I'm recording this, it's actually Monday, October the 27th. As this drops on Friday, November the 7th, I'm still on a boat in the middle of the Caribbean Ocean on the fourth promo cruise. So we're recording a little bit early today. I'm not going to talk about the promo cruise today. I think I'll get to that in the coming weeks. I have some ideas on that, but we'll get to that at a time of my choosing. So today we're going to talk about the topic of my choosing, and that's it's something I'm seeing more of these days. I'm going to call it the consequences of AI. Now, for me, this goes beyond data privacy, which kind of feels distant because we don't see it in we all our data is out there in so many ways, but there is a concern about data privacy. And I say all this, by the way, I'm still very much all in on AI, but I'm starting to see some things that are causing me concern about how we're using AI. So job loss is really becoming tangible now. Fiverr, which is the creative site where people can get very cost-effective graphic and other solutions, they laid off 30% of their workforce in an AI push. Now they called it, they're going to use it to automate system and streamline operations, and I'm sure that's accurate. But that's still people losing their jobs. XAI, which is an Elon Musk company, laid off hundreds of workers tasked with training Grok, which is the AI module embedded within X or Twitter. And even my sons, now my one son's graduated from college. My other son, his twin brother, is graduating from the day this drops 4 weeks from now from Mississippi State with a mechanical engineering degree. He's got a lot of friends from Mississippi State. He's got quite a few friends who are computer science majors that are really struggling to find employment, have been for months. And those are some real consequences of AI. What I'm seeing now, though, more than anything, is a laziness with people who maybe at first weren't comfortable with AI, got comfortable enough to start using it, have seen the power of AI and how it can truly make you more efficient. Um, but I'm seeing this over reliance on content creation, especially in terms of having it do everything. And by everything, I mean even a blurb on a Facebook post or an Instagram post. I see it way too often. And we all know the telltale signs, the M dashes and things like that, but there are other things you can tell as well. And what's happening is people aren't checking their work. And so everything is starting to sound homogenized. And I uh, find that troubling to be honest with you, because it's this lack of authenticity, I think might be the biggest threat of AI in general. When we're especially promotional products distributors, you sell the same products from the same suppliers to the same audience at roughly the same price. So the only thing you really have to differentiate yourself from everybody else out there is your unique you. And when we outsource that uniqueness to ChatGPT or another AI, you're stripping that unique selling proposition, the only thing that you have, you're outsourcing it. And that to me is a real problem. I mean, that you talk about swimming in a sea of sameness, that's exactly what you're doing. And so as people are learning AI, and look, I use AI all the time, but I find the best use of it is a collaborator. Now, I've had a lot of collaborators in my career, whether it's Kirby Hasseman, whether it's Josh Robbins, whether it's Kelsey Cunningham. Those collaborators always made me better. And that's exactly how I use AI, specifically ChatGPT. I train ChatGPT a specific conversation for every client, for me, myself, and for Brandivate. I don't use those specific AIs to generate content. I don't use that at all. I use it as a collaborator, someone to bounce ideas off of, someone to make sure that I am on brand for a specific client or even for myself. And I've spent hours training, inputting information, correcting it, and modifying it and optimizing it so that I get the results that I want. You can't just walk in minute one and get the results you want. It's just not what it is definitely the most garbage in, garbage out thing on the planet right now. And so I am seeing a lot of garbage going into AI and a ton of garbage coming out. So people who are, if you're using AI, great. I think it's fantastic. It helps you become more efficient. It can do very mundane tasks. It can automate, but remember, you are dealing with something that is still being trained by a lot of smarter people than me, but also you're training it on yourself. And so make sure you're checking it for inaccuracies and inconsistencies because I'm here to tell you they are prevalent and it's very obvious. People who are just putting something in AI and generating something out, not checking it, throwing it online and calling it their own. It's troubling, quite frankly. And again, it's that lack of authenticity that I think is really one of the biggest threats AI does present to all of us, quite frankly. And so again, use AI. It's a great collaborator. I'm telling you, it is such a great collaborator, but you have to put a lot of work in to make sure what you're getting out is not only valuable to you, but to your audience you're sharing it with. All right. Well, before I go to the rent paying portion of the podcast, I'd love to hear how you're using AI, what you are finding that works well for you, and what you find that, hey, this isn't working for me. I'd love to hear that in the comments. All right, let's pay the rent before we bring on our guest. Hey, do you know what season it is? That's right, it's business valuation season. Now, perhaps you don't know what your company's worth. Maybe it's been more than a few years since your last valuation, and you need a new benchmark to see if your company is increasing in value. Heck, you might want to even see if it's time to sell your business. Now, regardless of the reason, Jamie Watson and the experts at Certified Marketing Consultants, they have extensive experience in the world of branded merchandise and the financial knowledge necessary to provide a fact-based valuation of your business. All you need to do, very simple, email them, info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. All right, that's enough of me and my solo yakking. Let's get to our guest. My guest today absolutely needs no introduction, but nothing gives me more pleasure than wasting his time. I don't really like wasting your time as the listener, but to waste his time, I've got no issue with. After 16 years in the restaurant business, he began his promo journey by joining the family business 13 years ago, and he's now the third generation owner of said business. Now, he loves music, sports, food, and drink. Who doesn't? He's married to his bride of 9 years, Jenny, and they have a 6-year-old who joins their 14-year-old twins from a previous marriage. And when he's not slinging swag or watching his beloved St. Louis Cardinals or Mizzou Tigers, you can find him at a kid's sporting event or more likely on his way to or from some sort of practice for said sporting events. Now, he's an all around really good guy who has a bizarre fascination with jam bands, which we may explore later on in this podcast. It's okay, though. We don't understand it either. Hey, please join me in welcoming the owner of APS Promos, the one and only Matt Shucart. Matt, thank you for joining me today on the Between Two Brands podcast.
Thanks for having me, Bill. I really appreciate it. Excited.
Absolutely. I'm excited too. I see if you're watching on video, you can see that Matt is resplendent in his tie-dyed Cardinals pullover. So we're already getting off to a groovy start. Now, Matt, speak up and tell me if you have any questions for me today.
I do. I have a couple of them. We've got The first one is a two-part question, and then I've got a third or a
Okay.
two, one A, one B, and then two, as we like to call it on this show.
Okay, fabulous. Let's go.
All right, so one A. As a lifelong fan of Van Halen and 80s metal, what's the promotional products equivalent of a killer guitar solo? And a follow-up, what's the industry version of a bad karaoke cover of Jump?
Okay. So let me make sure I understand. So the first question A is what is the brand and merch equivalent of Eruption, the greatest guitar solo in the history of ever? Is that correct?
That sounds good.
Okay. I'm gonna go, there's a lot of directions you could go here. For me, there's no better promotion products. They're all so great. But the one that speaks to me most, I have a bizarre fascination with backpacks. I'm constantly in search of the best backpack.
Agreed.
And when I'm on the road, when I'm at an airport or at a trade show or at an event, that's what I see the most are branded backpacks. And so to me, they're so ubiquitous. A lot of people would say the t-shirt, and yeah, maybe, but I'm going to wear a backpack whether it's 100 degrees outside or 20 degrees outside. I'm going to have that with me. It's kind of like my portable workstation. So I'm going to have to go with a perfectly decorated and backpack that has many pockets, many zippers, many Velcro enclosures, you name it. And then what is the karaoke equivalent, a bad karaoke equivalent of Jump? It's tough. I'm going to have to say, I'm not going to say a promotional product. I'm going to say really poorly decorated merchandise.
Fair.
Merchandise that either the decoration won't hold up, it's not vibrant, it doesn't pop, or it feels disjointed. We've all seen decoration that just doesn't feel right. Sometimes a tone on tone is exactly what you should be doing, and sometimes that's not what you should be doing. Sometimes I wish there was more um, product or more detailed look at the factory when imprints are being put on merchandise because sometimes they don't pass muster, quite frankly. And I think there needs to be better processes with that. So to me, it's not a product. It's more of because the product's usually great, right? Just like Jump as a song is great, but the decoration of it, the singing of it, that's where things kind of go sideways. So I'm going to have to say poor decoration.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. I agree with you. What's the best backpack that you found so far? What's your favorite that you found so far? Because I'm the same way. I have looking just in my office here. I have four backpacks laying here, and I don't use any of them. I actually use a different one. So I always am finding the next one.
Yeah, I still, I'm looking at my backpack down here and I go back and forth. I've had a couple Thules, which I've liked. But I keep going back to this Audio backpack. It's an old school one. I've had it for a long time. What I like about it is it's weird. I mean, it's heavy, so not that's not my favorite, but I like what I like about it is I've used it so much. I know where everything is because when I travel, I'm perpetually, oh shit, did I forget this? Did I forget that? And I can check very easily where things are.
What
But what
pocket
I
it
love
is?
about it more than anything else the zippers glide like butter. I love the zippers on this thing. As dumb as that sounds, that's a big deal to me. I don't like zippers that give me any sort of resistance or friction. So I go to that, but I am in the market for a new backpack. Not that I'm suggesting that anybody who is in the promotional products industry send me backpacks for me to test out at 1/3 or at 1600. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to get my address out. So I'm still looking for the next backpack, but I love this one so much. I'm not going to get rid of it for a while. What about you?
So I also am currently using one from Audio. When we rebranded last year, I got one from
Yep, last year.
Audio that I really like. And again, same kind of thing. The pockets, I know where everything is. Everything
Yeah.
fits in it. It's big enough for me to put everything that I need in for an overnight trip or for an office visit. And it's amazing when you say that the zippers glide, and that's what you really like about it. Getting into the promotional products business, you never realized how much of a snob that you became about little shit like that, and yet
Yeah.
here we are talking about gliding zippers.
By the way, great band name, Gliding Zippers. But yeah, 100%, 100%. All right. Any other questions for me? Because I've got questions for you, Matt Shucart.
All right, I will skip the 2B, the 1B, and I will go straight to two.
You can go whatever. Oh, go. You can go to 1B. Hey,
1B.
we're not in
All
any
right, I'll
hurry.
do 1B and then we'll go to two. This kind of feeds off of the first one. If you could sponsor Ozzy Osbourne with one branded item from our industry, what would it be? And bite resistant bat plushies don't count.
Okay, fair enough. If I was going to, I assume you mean like have him sell some merch or associate some merch with Ozzy Osbourne.
Yep. If you were to create the perfect promotional product to set up at his merch booth, what would it be?
I'm gonna go with a custom Ozzy plush, a mini Ozzy plush, because he was known as the Prince of Darkness, and had his run with his family on the Osbournes on TV at the reality show. And when you read about Ozzy, yeah, I mean he lived the rock and roll lifestyle several lifetimes over, but deep down, he was a very good man, a very kind person, and kind of soft and cuddly. I mean, he cared about his family. He cared about a lot of things, and even that last concert when I'm convinced he knew this is my final performance, and I'm going to die. He died a week and a half later. He donated. They donated all the proceeds to Parkinson's research, which I think is an amazing thing. It wasn't to set his family up or anything else. So I love that. So to me, it'd be something that him dressed with a some sort of regalia from the 80s, his little mini sunglasses on, and then in his hand I want a microphone in one hand and I want a soft plushy bat in the other hand, so a custom Ozzy plush.
All right, I like it. I like it. All right, last question. So those that know you and have been listening to you for a while know that you have some issues with service providers not being represented and heard throughout our industry. As most of us in this industry and this business use some sort of a service provider, what are some things that we can do to help that? What can we do to get you guys more representation within the industry? Because I think
First
it's
of all, I love the
something that I never really thought about a whole lot until you bring it up, and I'm like, that's totally valid.
thank you for saying that. That's very kind, and it is something I'm very passionate about because I don't understand it. I don't understand that for the most part, service providers can't serve on the PPAI board unless they're appointed as the regional delegate to the PPAI board. So that bothers me quite a bit. I know I will say this though. I know PPAI has been trying to be better about what the benefits of membership for PPAI are to service providers. I don't think we're there yet. The biggest benefit I get is a FedEx discount. Last time I checked, I don't send emails of marketing ideas through FedEx, so it doesn't really help me. What can you guys do? I think just, when the conversation comes up, if you feel it's a valid point, and look, there are probably some that don't feel it's a valid point, and that's fine. I'm a believer, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I love respectful discourse. I love when people disagree, when it's again respectful. But I think what you can do is let leadership at PPAI know. If I'm designing the board, if I'm rewriting the bylaws of PPAI, I think there needs to be a service provider always on the board because it's the one group of people that serves both sides of the industry. And so, because of that, you see both sides of it. If you're a distributor, of course, you're going to look at things through the lens of your issues as a distributor, whether you're small, medium, large, whatever. And again, supplier. If you're a supplier, you're going to look through the lens of being a supplier. Not that you're not trying to do the best for the industry when you're sitting on the board, but you're still looking at through the lens of one side, two sides. I like the fact, you got fire and ice, and service providers can be that lukewarm water to kind of balance things out. Maybe we'll get there, maybe we won't. But I appreciate the question, and it is something I will continue to complain about until I feel it's rectified.
All right.
Thank you. All right. I've got some questions for you. Now, these are very easy questions, and in the spirit of transparency, as my friend Kirby Hasseman might say, Matt has not seen these questions. He has no idea what I'm going to ask him. So, Matt, question number one. You spent 16 years in the restaurant business before you landed in this wacky business. Now, how did your time there prepare you for a life of branded merchandise?
Um, so I don't know if it landed me as much in the life of branded merchandise as far as getting into the family business and knowing that was going to be my next option or my next succession, I guess. Um, Being in the restaurant business trained you to deal with people on all kinds of levels. You dealt with nice people, you dealt with not nice people. You, as a manager of a restaurant, I ran a bunch of kitchens. You had the ability to pivot on the fly. You had to multitask all the time. You had to lead a team, and if everybody wasn't rowing in the right direction, then things didn't work out so well. You were able to be creative in the kitchen to create menus and dishes throughout the week and figure out what was coming up next and be able to forecast. So I think that had a lot to do with where I'm at now and being able to succeed is that ability to think on the fly and being able to change things and pivot and multitask a team pretty well.
I love it. No, I love that. Now, question number B. A few years ago, you took over your family business as a third generation owner after the passing of your father. So I have a few questions about that.
Okay.
One, I'll just go one by one, so you don't have to remember them. What was the most challenging aspect of taking over the business?
Um, so for me, I think for me the biggest thing was, the whole idea of me coming into the office and coming to work there. The plan was for me to take over the business. Um, Little by little, my dad had taught me certain things. He taught me a lot about the industry. He taught me a lot about the business. We hadn't gotten into a lot of the how to run a business aspect of things yet. So while I knew products and I knew vendors and I knew how to talk to customers and I knew how to develop relationships, I couldn't look at a P&L sheet and know what the hell I was looking at all. As far as numbers came in and things like that, that was something that we never really got to. How to lead a team is something that obviously I had from the past, but doing it in an office setting is something that's completely different and nothing. It's one of those things that my mentorship with him kind of got cut short. And so I think that was for me that was the hardest part of it.
That makes sense. Now, what has surprised you the most about leading APS?
Um, man, that's a tough question.
I
Um,
know. I ask the questions that people are afraid to ask, Matt. I'm going to get the real answers that people are afraid to know.
thanks, I appreciate that. Um, I think for me the hardest part is that most of the people that I have working for me, working in our company, have all known me since I was a little kid, and so coming in now as the owner of the company for a long time and even sometimes still now they look at me still as that little kid and don't always see the vision that I have to help move things forward. um, I think it's taken a very good turn and things have gotten a lot better with that, but I think that was one of the hardest things is that um, people still saw me as that little kid running around in the warehouse and not the person sitting in the chair.
Do you think it was them seeing you as little Matt, for lack of a better term, or was it also part of you feeling like, man, I'm not sure I'm ready for this. They probably think I'm just a kid. I mean, I'm just curious because I think I would go through. I think it might be both of them, right?
I think it was very much both of them. And there were some ideas that after my dad passed away, we kind of implemented. At the time we were still handwriting orders and typing them all into a computer and very antiquated system. And we joined Facilis October after my father passed away, and not very many people were on board with it. And now here we are 5 years later, and almost everybody is on board with it and realized it was probably a really good thing that we did it. And so there's been a lot of changes that I've put into place since then that people have started to realize that maybe he does know what he's doing and he's not the little kid we thought he was anymore.
Love it. Love it. I love it. Now, we're in an industry with so many family businesses. What advice would you give others as they prepare to take over their family business?
Um, Leave business at business and leave family time at family time. So my mom is the co-owner. She's the CFO. She does all of our books and credit cards and payroll and all of that stuff that I have no desire to deal with whatsoever, and it works out perfectly. Um, and if there's things that we need to talk about, we'll go out, for happy hour. We'll talk about stuff outside of work. But when it's family time, it's family time, and we leave family time
Love
at
that.
family time, and we leave office stuff at the office as much as possible, to
Yeah.
kind of get that good separation of work and life balance. But I think that's a big thing that people need to think about and realize, especially when you're going into a family business and there's other family members that are working there.
Love it. Great, great answer. Now, you touched on it earlier, but in 2024, so just last year, you decided to do complete rebranding. Not the easiest of things to undertake. Why did you decide to do it? I've got a couple questions, but that's the first one. Why did you decide to do it?
Um, so the logo that we had is was very it had been 25 years or something like that since we had rebranded. The colors were not great. And with the changing of kind of everything and technology and business and everything kind of moving forward, I kind of wanted to get a refresh for us. Um, as I kind of alluded to, I was trying to get more, I guess, of a younger eye, a younger vision on our company moving forward to help attract that those type of possible employees, um, possible clients that kind of see us more of a front facing, more up to date company. Um, and funny enough, like my biggest fear of doing that was talking to my mom about the idea, knowing that with the ties with my dad, and he was the one that helped create it and the colors and all of that. When I went to her, her very first sentence to me was, "Thank God I hated those colors. I absolutely hate them." It was, for those of you that don't know what it looked like, I'm trying to see if I have some around here, but I don't. Um, it looked like Miami Dolphins colors. It was
It,
teal and
it,
orange, and we
yeah.
don't live in Miami. We have nothing to do with the Dolphins. It was not good. So um, I sat down with my buddy Bill, and we created this.
It turned out really well. Now, for any organization seeking to do any sort of rebranding, what advice would you give them?
Um, don't go with whatever is given to you first.
Love it. Love it.
um, we sat down and it was myself and my mom and our office manager Lori, who's been with the company for 25, 30 years, something, a long time. And um, we started coming up with ideas, and we talked with you about, here's what we're looking for, here's kind of what we still want to incorporate. And um, being able to be creative and come up with something that is doesn't just look cool, but actually has meaning behind it. I really liked, you know, we had um, what we had was old, and what we needed was new. And like you said, when we first started the process, that we're not looking for a complete rebrand. We're just looking for a refresh.
Right.
Um,
Because we weren't
what
changing the name or
what
anything
was it?
like that.
Baby needs a new set of clothes, or something along those lines. Was
Yeah, I think my quote on that is it's hard. First of all, it's very hard. That's why I wanted to get your advice from why what you tell people. But what I generally explain is, look, I'm not telling you your baby's ugly. I'm telling you your baby's growing up and needs a new set of clothes.
That's it. Yep. And that's really what it is. It's we wanted to incorporate the old, come up with something new and refreshing, and kind of put them both together. We sat down with you for once a week for however
Months.
long it took, and we came down to this, and it's worked out great. But go with, make sure that you are exploring all of the options that you are coming up with in your head, as well as what whoever's helping you come up with comes up with, and talk it out. Don't always go with whatever your gut says right away. Make sure that and if there's something that you don't like, even if it's just a little bitty thing, make
Mention it.
sure that you address that, because if not, whatever you have is going to be what you have for however long until you do this again. And it's going to go on all of your emails. It's going to go all on all of your merch. It's going to go on all of your everything. And you you could love it now, and then 2 days later you're like, well, I don't like this, and it sucks. And this one worked out really well, because it goes great on a ton of colors. We have the ability to change it around to be all one color, and it goes on everything, and it's been fantastic. We've gotten rave
Love it.
reviews. So thanks, Will.
Love it. Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about your end user show, and you had one just a couple weeks ago with
Yeah.
an Oktoberfest theme. Looked like it was a great success. What made you decide to start one, and how has it impacted your business?
So our dear friend Kirby Hassman, he and I have been talking about doing it for a long time. He's been doing his for, I think he's going on 20 something years of doing
Yeah,
his.
20 years or so. Yeah.
Yeah. And so last year was our first year doing it. And it's probably since, I think I started talking with him in Vegas last year about doing it. And he's like, oh, yeah, here's how we do it. Here's the things. And I started talking to him, and Jade also, on a, you know, couple weeks, every week or so basis, of getting some ideas together. And um, it worked out great. Last year when we did it, we got rave reviews from a lot of our clients. All of them were all excited about coming this year. Um, Last year we did it in, um, with the rebrand, happened in October, I think. We finished it right around beginning end of September or something like
End of
that.
September. Yep. We
And
launched, it was launched at your show, I
we
believe.
launched at the show. So we used that as the theme for the show last year, so that all of our customers that have known us forever all came in and saw all of this new stuff with the new logo. And that was kind of the launch party for it. Very well received. Everything was great. And we worked it out so that our regional show was that week. So we planned it the day before the St. Louis show, so that all of our vendors were already going to be in town, um, or they were already coming in town. They might have just come in a day early for those that didn't live here. And they were ecstatic about it. Last year we had 120 20-ish people show up. And this year, I think we were right around the same number. We had a bunch of people that, obviously signed up early and things came up or they forgot about it or whatever happened. And so we wound up not having as many as we thought we were going to, but it was a great time. It was a great time. Everybody had a blast, and we got some really good leads out of it.
Awesome. I think what you said though, and I don't want to gloss over, is super important. You were thoughtful enough because suppliers are pulled in 765 different directions all the time, expected to be at this show, that show, they're traveling all the time. The fact that you made sure that your end user show was in conjunction with a local show that many of them would be at is a very thoughtful, a very that to me is such an indicator of partnership, what partnership actually means. I love that. So congratulations to you. All right, last question, Matt. I know you're a fan of all things Missouri sports, St. Louis Cardinals, Mizzou Tigers football, even the St. Louis Battlehawks of the UFL. Honestly,
Oh,
I couldn't give two shit about that. I don't want to talk about that. What I want to talk about is your weird fascination with jam bands. So I have three questions. Okay.
okay.
Jam bands. Why? Second question. But really, why? Third question. Seriously? Why?
Um, Man.
I
So
told you I'm asking the tough questions. I ask the tough questions, sir.
I think my affinity for them all started when I was a little kid. I I say little kid. I was probably, 10, 12, 13 years old at summer camp. And all of our counselors listened to pretty much nothing except Grateful Dead and Fish. Um, I didn't really know what Grateful Dead and Fish was back then, but I knew that the music was cool. It was all we listened to all the time. And so I think that was the start of it. And actually, one of my last summers at camp was the summer that Jerry Garcia died.
Hmm.
And over the intercom, the entire day, they did nothing except play Grateful Dead at camp all day. Um,
I love it.
and so I think that was probably the start of it. For my bar mitzvah, I got one of my friends got me a CD of Grateful Dead Skeletons from the Closet, and I absolutely like just got hooked from that point on.
I actually love that. And I joke, just because I don't get jam bands, and I don't, generally speaking. I love the
I
fact
don't
that
get
you do.
metal, so that works out well.
No, no, absolutely. And just like you, I love all genres of music for the most part. I've even gotten into my son has actually gotten me into uh, one jam band. I hate to admit this, but I'm into one jam band, and it's Pigeons Playing Ping Pong.
Yeah, buddy, they're
So
good.
they're good. Now I will say this on Sirius XM, I don't think you need three channels dedicated to jam bands. You don't need a Grateful Dead channel. You don't need a Fish channel, and you sure as hell don't need a Dave Matthews Band uh, channel. But that's just my perspective. No, I think music, whatever music speaks to you, right? The older I get, the more I love more Americana type music. Then I mean, I still love loud, rude, aggressive, and angry guitars. That will never leave me because that's what I grew up with. That's my first love. Like when Ace Frehley died, that crushed me because man, that was the first band I ever got into as a kid, just because they were cool looking. Right. I mean, the songs, you look back, the songs very basic and they're not great. But man, they were so cool. It's in my mind. So I get it.
Well, and for me too, like I love jam bands. I can't even tell you the amount of concerts that I've been to. But my music catalog, if you look at my Spotify list, literally goes from everything to gangster rap all the way to uh, One Direction. Like
Yeah,
there is it. I probably have one of my most diverse music collections that people are gonna, wow, you listen to that, wow, you listen to that, and it baffles people.
Look, here's what I believe. If you are a true lover of music, and I believe you are, I know you are, I automatically assume you like music, not just, okay, he's a jam band guy. Just like I know people have me slotted as the Van Halen guy, and Van Halen is my favorite band of all time, but that doesn't mean I don't listen to things like Willie Nelson a lot, or Ariel, who nobody even knows, or hell, even Janet Jackson. I love a lot of Janet Jackson songs. I mean, my tastes are all over the map too, and I think that just speaks to, because for whatever reason, there are some certain people, music just moves us, it lives within us. Yeah, we have our loves, but it's really a love of all things music.
And live music too. Like
Oh
I'm
yeah,
one of those guys that, like, even if I don't know the band or the music, I'll go watch a band live because I love live music. It's to me, it's
100%.
fascinating. And there's a ton of bands out there that their studio stuff is crap. And you go watch them live and you're like, holy shit, these guys are awesome. It's absolutely
Absolutely.
unbelievable.
As Danny Rosen would famously say, never miss the opening act. Hey, before we say goodbye, let me do our little closing read here. This episode of Between Two Brands has been brought to you by the good folks over at Coaster Stone, home of the original absorbent stone coaster. With that combination of stone cold quality, striking decoration, low cost per impression, retail packaging, and unmatched value, David Glenn and his team at Coaster Stone are ready to help you make a rock solid impression with your clients. Email them at promo@coasterstone.com today. Matt, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed your time on the Between Two Brands podcast.